Hello friends, Veronica Moonlove here with your week 2 of Scorpio spells and rituals. I have added some features in the background, super exciting. Look at this pentacle and a witch's book and a candle. It's super theatrical and artsy and cute, and I really love it. So I thought it would be nice to finally get a background going on. But also I wanted to apologize for just now getting this video delivered to you. I had a very fun but busy weekend, what with Halloween, Samhain, Dia de los Muertos. It was a blast, but I did not have time to upload this video, so I am just now getting this to you. But we're still going to make this very much worthwhile. So what we're going to work on this week is challenging conscious goodness. What does that mean, you ask? Well, each of us has associations for ourselves, or maybe even expectations of ourselves, to ensure maybe boundaries, maybe it's discipline, maybe it's you want to make a good impression, whatever it is that you value. In a lot of ways, we sort of put goodness on things in our lives. For example, let's explain further. Let's say that I am always vocalizing or always saying, I am a well-organized person. I am not messy. I don't forget things. I'm very organized. Or I'm always on time. I am never late. Or I always work even when things happen in my life that are out of the blue, or if I'm sick, I always work. These are things that we subconsciously associate with goodness. And what that happens is when we kind of give a this is good, this is bad, dualistic perspective on these expectations of ourselves, we don't leave any room for us to ever break those rules. So that when we do break these said rules for ourselves, we feel like a failure. We feel shame. We feel bad about it. And that is a subconscious thing that we do, each and every one of us, that we can break, that we can embrace the shadow, right? Because these things that we associate with good are the light version, right? But the opposite of that is the shadow. And when we say that these things are bad when they're broken, then we're not embracing our shadow. We're not kind of unifying that dualistic perspective. So that's really what today is all about, is identifying what things in our lives we associate as good. And how can we change our perspective to be a little bit more flexible, to give us a little bit more space to simply be human. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the things that you're going to need for this spell work. So first and foremost, I want you to get a pen and a paper. The paper has to be something that you are okay with disposing, so you don't want to necessarily utilize a journal. You'll just want to tear a piece of paper out, and we're going to be writing on that. And then you'll need a lighter. Next thing you're going to need is a fire-safe cauldron. Okay, you can use a pot as long as it is fire-safe, but you will need something that is fire-safe. And that is all you need, my friends. This is going to be a really, really simple spell. So let's go ahead and get into the steps. Okay, so step one, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and write on your piece of paper something that you associate with goodness. So for this spell, we're going to use the example that I am always early, or I am always on time. And what that means is basically I am leaving myself no room to ever be late, because subconsciously I am saying, well, I'm always on time. I'm good because of A, B, and C. And what that does is it lets us fall into the pattern of perfectionism. And perfectionism leaves us no room for failure. And failure leaves us no room for us to be human, right? We are not robots. We cannot always be on time. And if I am ever late, or if I'm ever in the situation when I am late, I'm going to be so hard on myself because I broke my own rule. But it's because I subconsciously associate being on time as a good quality. Now, that's not to say that if you have a job interview or if there is something that you have to be on time for, your own wedding, right? You want to make sure you're on time for those things. Those are obvious things that we would really, really consciously want to be on time for. But if you are running late, you're stuck in traffic, you have to go and pick up the kids before you can run an errand, something happens, life happens, and you are late to something, you need to be able to give yourself permission to forgive yourself. Otherwise, that's going to cause shame. That's going to put a lot of unnecessary pressure on you for something so small as being on time. These are basic things that we create dualistic patterns for. We need to embrace our shadow and say it's okay. It's okay that I'm, not always on time. More so, when we do this for ourselves, when we have these set expectations for ourselves, we also project that onto others. So let's say your best friend is lethal about never being on time. Well, you might start to resent her for that because you associate being on time as a positive thing, as a good thing, and she's always late, so she's obviously a bad friend. Well, not necessarily. People are different. People have different priorities and people perceive life differently. It doesn't make her a bad person and it doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you guys have different value systems. But how can we forgive her? How can we forgive ourselves when we are late or when they are late? And this is just a basic example. There are so many things that you can associate as good. And you'll be able to really work through this if you'd like to journal about it beforehand and then write this step down. That's totally fine. But there are so many things that we do subconsciously as a dualistic perspective of how we see things as good and how we see things as bad and how those things impact us when we fall on the other side and how that can really, really make us feel like so much shame, so much failure, when really in reality, these are expectations that are just unrealistic, and we can break those unrealistic expectations and perfectionism patterns by simply embracing our shadow and saying, hey, it's okay if I'm late. I'm not a bad person at the end of the day. I will always try to commit to that, but if that happens or I'm in a scenario where I can't be, I forgive myself and I still love myself at the end of the day. So that's the whole intention with this, okay? So step one, go ahead and write what you associate with conscious goodness. Okay, so step two, now that you've written down what you associate with conscious goodness, now we're going to fold the paper in a very strategic way, okay? We're going to be folding the paper going counterclockwise. The reason why we go counterclockwise is typically when we're trying to release or open or let go of something. If we were to go counterclockwise, then that means we're trying to bring something in, trying to close something, right? But we want this to go away because we're trying to release this expectation. So I have this paper, and on the paper it says I am always on time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go counterclockwise, meaning the opposite way of where the clock goes. So what I want to do is I want to go down first. So I'm going to fold the paper down. Okay, I have folded the paper down. All right, so I'm going counterclockwise, and this might be on the opposite side for you if you are looking at my reflection, so just keep that in mind, but we are going counterclockwise. And then we're going to fold it again, going counterclockwise. So I'm going this way according to how the camera is facing. And then I'm going to fold it one more time, turning the paper and going counterclockwise. Okay? So I have my paper counterclockwise folded, all right? Hope that makes sense. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so step three, what we're gonna do is take our piece of paper and we're going to put it in our fire-safe cauldron, okay? And then you are going to say the following. With this fire, I burn away any expectations of myself to blank, that's gonna be where you fill in the blank, whatever you wrote down, to blank, and I embrace my shadow with love and acceptance, Somo Tippy. And it's going to look something like this. With this fire, I burn away any expectations of myself to always be on time, and I embrace my shadow with love and acceptance. Somo Tippy. Okay, so go ahead and let that paper burn down until it is fully ash. And it'll take a while. If your fire safe is smaller like mine, you can also use like a fire pit if you want to get it going really, really quickly. But for the most part, I want you to burn it down until it gets to an ash. You are going to save those ashes. I want you to collect those ashes and I want you to bury them. Find somewhere in your backyard, in a park, wherever you'd like to bury this intention. And I want you to then, this might sound a little weird, but I want you to then, after burying it, spit on it. Your spit is essentially consecrating this spell work. It's basically like saying somo to be, like I declare this. And so putting your spit on there is going to make it that much more powerful. If you feel weird about that, you can just take a glass of water and then pour it over once you've buried it as if you were planting seeds. Really, the water portion or the spit portion is also associated with the element of water, and Scorpio is a water sign, so I did want to add that element in there. And that concludes this week for Scorpio week 2 of Rituals and Spells for Shadow Work season. Go ahead and like and comment. Tell me what you think of this spell. Do you like it? Was there something that you realized you were doing? Were there any aha moments that you did that were subconsciously associating with goodness? And what are the things that you are holding yourself prisoner for? So I'd love to know. Also, feel free to comment anything else about witchcraft if you have any questions, or if you'd like to see something in particular, feel free to reach out to me. I am also on Instagram at Veronica_Moonlove. And I'm on TikTok at Veronica__Moonlove. Feel free to go follow me for all sorts of fun on witchcraft. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much for your patience. And I'm excited to get into week 3 for Scorpio season and shadow work. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.